Alright, so we are back with another OP07 deck list. Now this is my former main, Katakuri. Katakuri is one of those leaders that have such a hyper role. It's so good. Recently a lot of people don't play it because there's a lot of decks that beat it. There's so many good decks out there. But I think if you play the right structure, if you know how to face your opponent, and if you know your matchups, you can actually do pretty decently with Katakuri. Now let's walk through some of the deck lists and talk about some of the other matchups. Cracker is a 4-cost Big Mom Pirates that, if I discard a card from my hand on trigger, I can play the card. So it's really nice because if the opponent goes first and then swing at you, and you play a Cracker, next turn, let's say you're at, so Perna's at 3 Dawn, you're at 4 Dawn, and you play on the Cracker for 2, and then you attach 2 additional Dawn. This is swinging AK Banish, double attack. And that's really good. So on your turn 2 so Cracker catches a lot of people off guard. It has the +1 when I attach a Dawn, give it +1 power. This is nice because there's a lot of heavy aggressive decks out there like Luffy Law and like a lot of people who just swing at you early. So Cracker just catches them off guard. Combo with the Onami, very detrimental, especially against people who kind of stack their life. They plan their life accordingly. If they don't expect this, all your Dawns just put on there and then Nami. So Pudding is good, a 1-cost searcher. I like it at 4, of course, just because I have so many Big Mom Pirates. And even though it might make me whiff on certain cards like Gadatsu, Kikunojo, and Ace, it's one of those cards that really optimal for early turns and you can swing with it too. Parasparo at 3 is the right number. You could go 4 if you wanted to, but I just play some other big cards that are non-counterable. So 3 works really well. It's good for mid-game, late-game, early game, just being able to summon a unit and then just have that extra turn to swing, especially if you're aggressive and you have them lower in life. They either have to bottom deck this, which is fine if they do, because it's just commitment of their Dawn, or they have to KO, which gives me +3. Now that leads me to find other Big Mom Pirates that are really good for me. Charlotte Linlin 10-drop. Now this is the monster character, monster boss that a lot of people still don't know how to deal with. It's just so much value. 12k attack, 10 costs, a banish life, gain life. The fact that I'm banishing their life is just so good, especially against people who stack their life. Like if Enel Hioris and then you just 10-drop whatever they put in life, it's so great. But not only that, you can play around swinging at the opponent's board instead of swinging at their life. Let's say I have 2 10-drops in my hand, I can swing them down to 2 life, and then I just swing at their board like crazy until my 10-drop turn, and it's just optimal. They have less swings against me, and I play my 2 10-drops back to back. There's not much they can do, and it's really good. Shirahoshi is really good for filtering my deck. I do have some cards that aren't Big Mom Pirates, but it's also nice because this lets me make sure I don't whiff in hand. If people are swinging at me aggressive and I have too many non-counterables, like my 10-drop, 7 cost 8 or 10, 4, 3, this is just a good way to make sure I find what I'm looking for. Not only that, when they play it, because I can trigger the card on play, it gives me the flexibility to also later put it back into my life with Katakuri. And I do run 2 Katakuris because this is a really good card against a lot of black decks, against a lot of green decks. They play their 8-drop kid, you Katakuri it, and then you banish next turn. Or they play their, Morias, you can Katakuri it, then banish. There's a lot of combos here, but you can also put it back towards your life if you're kind of falling behind. I like it at 2. I know 4 is really good. I think 8-drop's better for Enel than it is for Katakuri, just because it's just pure value for Enel, whereas me, I have to really make sure it fits. 2 works really well. Beige, 4 of, it's won me games. It's the most brutal card to see against yellow. I think it works really well. It's good against the triple attacking Zoros, the people that just have so many swings against you. Beige comes clutch. And the fact that I don't need to trash a card to do it is just really, really good. I can, with my leader ability, work this around to put it at the end of my life, early in my life, wherever I need to. It's just a great card to see as a trigger. On Monday at 4, I have 8 2Ks. I found myself not needing more because I have the 0 cost, but I also have Shirahoshi, which helps me filter. Most of the time, I'm going to be the aggressor, or I'm going to be able to counter out what they're swinging at me, or if they swing at me, I can summon cards for free. But I picked Amande because she's Big Mom parts, but also because that her ability, I may trash a card with a trigger from my hand, rest one of the opponent's characters with cost 2 or less, comes clutch against Red-Green Law, RG Law. And that's just something that a lot of people don't remember. But it's also good against like some clutch, you're swinging for lethal and they have a blocker of 2 costs. I can do this and just swing above it. Gidatsu's I noticed, like, one of the ways that Enel deals with RP Law is Gidatsu, and that's one of the reasons I'm running it. I have the ability to KO units, but also it works really well because even if I'm swinging aggressively, if they have 2 life, let's say a green leader, and they play their 2 cost blocker, I can play my Gidatsu and get rid of it, which is huge because they can't use the little blocker Rosinante blocker combo to save your 8 costs. Like, there's just so many things I can do that are, or like I don't have to worry about swinging at their small bodies like their 1 cost searchers because I can play Gidatsu and swing at their life. So it saves you turns. It's really clutch, and I think against the certain matchups it really comes in handy, especially when you're like timing when to swing at them versus their life and more. It's not searchable, but it's still a 1k, which is clutch. Onami trigger, amazing. On play effect, amazing. Especially when I combo with the Cracker. This is a combination that a lot of people are not expecting, and it works wonders. Or if I use it on my leader, there's a lot of characters out there like Black Yellow Luffy or other ones that just, they don't want to lose cards. They don't want to get banished. If I use my leader ability, and I know like where something is, I can combo it with my Onami. So what I do sometimes is use leader ability with Onami and then just see what card they have and just keep it at the top if I just don't want to I want to get rid of it. And just forces them, even on my 3 Dawn turn, to swing 7k because of my leader ability, plus 1k when I attach a Dawn, and being able to look at the top or bottom life of either opponent's or my life is just so good. And when they combo with the Onami, they're kind of forced to counter, or they're forced to like take. Sometimes those who are very open to taking are just going to be like, oh crap, they know what it is. Is it my 8-drop Moria? Is it my 10-drop? All the above. Onami, clutch. The trigger's going to save you against RP Law. And all in all, amazing card. Kikunojo at 4. Kikunojo is your answer for black. You play a black leader, Lucci, you play any Morias, you play any of that. Kikunojo is your lifesaver. It gives you tempo to survive the early aggression, and it gives you enough bodies on the board to swing for game. Kikunojo at 4 is amazing. The ability is great. It lets you, a lot of those 4 life leaders, you just swing 1 time at them, they take it, you play Kikunojos, and you're set. You could work around RP Law's leader. So yeah, this is where Shirahoshi comes into effect. If I can't play it, I can, if I don't want to play from hand because I'm facing RP Law, I can just Shirahoshi, discard the card to be able to get it. Or I can use my 0 cost, which is good. So 4 of feels great. Triggers amazing. Summoning using it's great. If you're facing Black Yellow Luffy, you just play 4 costs on the board like crazy, and you just swing like crazy. It's such a beautiful card. It's what keeps this deck alive. 10 drop. Now, 2 10 drops felt amazing because if I don't see my 10 drop Big Moms, I need a way to find life. And sometimes they won't give you. They'll like banish their own life with the 7 cost instead of giving you a life. So 10 drop comes clutch against the black decks. They're aggressively pushing. You play your 10 drop, you gain the life, you're at 2 life now, and you swing at their body. It's so much. It's so impactful. This is a good way that yellow can clear the board, and it gives me some flexibility for if I don't see my 10 drops, I can work around my ace. So I have a lot of late game options here. 6 of them, along with these, are just so good. Now the 7 costs, as always, very detrimental. It's like you're forcing them to give you value, and you have an 8k body on the board. They get rid of it, you play another one. Or you play it, like even if they have 1 life, or you're swinging early and then you do this, they're like, oh crap, I have to give you a life. I can't go down to 0 life. So yeah, 7 costs Charlotte Linlin, still dangerous. And having all this is such a good combo for what I'm running. Now 3 0 costs, I thought was the right number, especially because I want to see my other characters. I could put 8 drop lower, but I think that just because there's just so many good bigger bodies that I can't get rid of, 8 cost is really good, especially with the bondings with the 8 drop kids. This is where it comes in handy. Most of the times what I'm doing is I'm summoning big units and swinging with these big units. So much so that like even if they have blockers or all that, I can get rid of it with Gadatsu, or I have just so many swings in there that they can't keep up. But it's nice to have the flexibility of 8 drop. So all in all, 0 cost comes clutch. Its trigger is good. I found myself being the advantage, like having so much life, so I didn't really rely upon the 0 cost trigger as much. I think if anything for late game clutch moments was for my beige or my ace that just helps me clear the board and survive. But all in all, this deck I felt has enough consistency to really attack the meta. Now there are some matchups you need to be aware of, but let's walk through some of my gameplay experience and some of my leaders to watch. Lucci, I beat both Luccis that I faced in the case tournament, and I actually feel pretty comfortable against Lucci. They have the big units that let you, KO my units, but because a lot of my units have the on-play ability, they still put their value out. And not only that, if you time your 10 drops right, you're swinging at them, and they have 2 life, you 10 drop, there's not much they can do. Like, they can put these blockers, they can do a lot of things, but you just have so much pressure against them. Plus, I'd say if they're high rolling, even if they're high rolling, like you have so many like late game, let's say they trigger, they're swinging at you like crazy. You summon Kikunoja, swinging at you, beige them, like, or you play your 0 cost, or you trigger your Nami to KO their unit, or you like, it's really scary because they don't want to swing too much, and you have like 3 units that they summoned that you can now just swing for game next turn. So I think all in all, I felt comfortable against the Lucci, especially because a lot of my units are bigger bodies. I think the only card you need to be careful really of is, if they just 8 drop, it's scary, but you still outswing them with the bigger bodies. Their stage is always going to be scary, but they're not running Ice Age. There's a lot of combos they can do. The scary card that you got to watch out for is the 8 drop Isho. That's where they're going to get you. 8 drop Isho, if they make you trash your big bodies off your hand, and you only have the small characters in your hand, that's where it can be rough. But just make sure that you calculate how much Dawn they have, how much cards are in your hand, and just playing optimally. Like, I don't mind going down to 3 cards in my hand often, just because I don't want them to get free value of getting rid of like these cards you need. Because if you don't have 10 drop, it's going to be a rough matchup against almost every deck. But yeah, just watch out for that. Black Yellow Luffy, surprisingly, it was not that difficult for me. Like, I just work around like, okay, I can swing my first swing for 7k banished. If I see it's like a Moria, 8 drop Moria, yes, I'm definitely banishing that, putting the top of life, forcing them to like take that life. And then if they have 3 life, I can just keep summoning units, keep getting them where I need them to be, and then when I'm ready, swing nice and comfy. Like, essentially, your Kikunojos are going to be huge against them, because even if they try to get rid of it, you can just get a life, or your 8 drops, your 7, 10. Like, you have so many ways to get rid of his potential, and just being able to freely summon units that they can't get rid of, like Kikunojos or Parasparrows. I mean, they could, but it would just go away from what they're trying to do. You play Gadatsus to get rid of any blockers. You play like a lot of other things. When they play the Sabos, that's fine. You just work around. Most of the time they'll have 2 blockers up, and you just swing around it. One thing I noticed also is with your 8 drop, let's say they play their Sabo. If you know what they have or don't have, you could technically put a character back to their life, so they can't do their leader ability the following turn. I mean, I'm sure they could, but if they don't have the cards, it's going to be a lot harder versus if they have like, what they need. But another reason why this matchup feels a little better is because you have the 10 cost ace, and most of the times they go to 9 or 11 at most, and that just 10 drop just feels so good, getting that life back and swinging at them if you already have some big swings already. Or if you play your beige trigger on them, he wants to swing big at you, and if they don't have that, then it's going to be really rough for them. But yeah, I'd say all in all, pretty comfortable. You just need to understand the Black Yellow Luffy leader and what they're trying to do, but if you can, it's just one of those things that you gotta just like tackle some of the units, get ready to swing, and if it doesn't go through, just play around what they have. Now Enel is one of the reasons why people wouldn't play Katakuri. Enel's value of being able to play the 10 drop, 9 drop, 8 drop, all that is huge, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a really tough match. You can, however, kind of favor it towards you by banishing a lot of their life cards. 7 drop, 10 drop, those are so huge against them. Onami combo with your leader or Nami with Cracker is huge. I'd say all in all, you want to just understand that they're going to swing big at you fast. They're going to have so many units. As long as you set up a board, when they have 1 life and you have 4 units on the board, that's when you run it down. And Enels do have a lot of counters. They do have, I mean, I know that they have less counters and all that, but they run 0 costs, which oftentimes get triggered, or beige that gets triggered off life. So it's one of those things where I would say definitely have a lot of big bodies on the board, so that even if they trigger or even if they play other units, you can either clear their units or try to swing lethal. But this is one of those matchups where you're not favored. I know it was favored before, but now Enel has just so many capabilities to also, get rid of your characters as well. So there's actually turns where, Raigo with the 6 cost, I would actually not swing at him so he doesn't get free value off my trend drop. But also, if I have, let's say he has 4 life, I can actually just set up such a large board that by the time I swing at him, it doesn't give him free Raigo. I mean, he can do Raigo, but when I'm comfortable enough to work around it, that's one of the things I do. So, and now, you got to be really comfortable with that matchup. Work around the ability that you can summon more units, summoning units, playing your banishings, playing your characters that let you gain a life and banish their life. You can either, also 8-drop their Katakuris. You can, do a lot of things there. But all in all, it's going to be a grind. And you got to be prepared for them to high value you, to be hyper aggressive for free. Another thing I just point out against Enel is if you go first against Enel, not only are you playing your puddings on curve, your Perisperos, you want to play your 7 drops back to back to them. Because 7 drops not only forces him to banish a life or give me life, it also gives me an AK unit on the board. Now that could be a good strategy if you see decent amount of 7 costs in your hand, so 7/7, and by the time your lethal turn you have 2 7 costs on the board, you have your Kikanojos. You want 4 or 5, if not 3, 4, 5 units on the board just to be able to swing at his life once he's at 1 life. So yeah, going first against Enel is really good. He doesn't want to see the 7 costs, and then I can always play my 10 drops too. That's just something extra to add. So yeah, definitely Enel, tough matchup. You got to work around having enough units and swing at life, and they just don't have to have it. If they don't have it, then they have it. All right, so the next leader is Nami. Nami is one of those leaders that, it is going to be rough if you don't know what you're doing. I've lost to Namis before. It's not fun. But a lot of what they're trying to do, you can kind of work around. Say they have Kayas, you can Gedatsu it. If I can banish double attack, that's huge. If I can get damage off them without even swinging at them, if I play 10 drop, 10 drop, 10 drop, 10 drop. 3 10 drops is huge. Get them down to 3 life. Most of the times I see Namis just countering whatever they can early on, which is fine. They don't take, there's no free life against Nami anymore. But if you have enough characters on the board, it'll swing optimally. I hear people say 6k is optimal against them, just because it forces them to, they can't just get the free 1k event off, as well as they can't get other free things off. That's fine. I'd say just summon a huge board, swing when you're ready. Let's say, for example, they have 2 life or 3 life, and you have 10 drops in your hand. You could just 10 drop, 10 drop, 10 drop, and then if they're at 0 life, you can just swing 12k, 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 and then all your units. So that's one of the, I would say against this matchup, count your 10 drops, because that's the optimal value you get that a lot of other people can't get. The fact that you can just banish their life without swinging at them, so they can't use their events either. And they can't trigger their the life abilities, which is huge. So yeah, play a lot of puddings, play a lot of Perisperos. I mean, mainly puddings, and then just Shirahoshi towards the 10 drops. Doflamingo, man, I actually lost to Doflamingo recently. He ended up winning the case tournament, which was great, but one thing I noticed is I needed to go first against him. I picked second, and I will admit, it has been a while since I played Katakuri, so I completely forgot about just how good first is for him. He played his 9 cost, he played his 7 cost, he played his leader ability. The leader ability is what's going to get you, and he's just going to be a little bit too fast for you if he goes first. If I'm first, then I'm swinging. I'm the one swinging. I'm the one summoning pudding. I'm playing Perispero on curve. Perispero and then just swing big. 5 costs, I swing and then play Kikanojo. Swing and then play a lot of other things. 7 costs are going to be huge against him. So yeah, you want to go first against Doflamingo, just to understand that they have pudding. And that's what killed me against this matchup. I think I had like 9 or 10 cards in hand. He played his 4-drop pudding, and I just completely forgot about pudding for a moment. So yeah, just realize he has that ability. So if you go down to 4 cards in hand or 5 cards, just keep, countering, playing units, then he might be less inclined to play the pudding. If you search with the pudding searchers, then, you probably want to go a little less just so he doesn't get full value. Like if you search like 10 drop big moms, but you're at like 6 life, 6 cards in hand, he's definitely doing pudding. But if you search 10 drop big moms and you're at like 4 cards in hand, he's going to be like less so because he's rather swing at you. So all in all, pudding is the most dangerous card for you, especially if you're like searching for your units. Play your units, don't have too big of a hand, and then go first against Dofi. That's what I'll say. Yamato, thankfully, it's not a big presence anymore. I, as a former Yamato player in OP06, still think it's very good, but ultimately, you don't have that many blockers. In fact, I don't see any blockers here. So Yamato's going to get free swings in. I'd say take your life, summon the units, swing back at them. It's going to be a quick game. They swing at you, you summon your units, you swing back like crazy, and then you just save your counters for when they try to go banish. Or for lethal turn, if they get you at 2 life, that's scary because they're going to leader and then Hody Jones you for the leader ability plus 2k. And they have the leader ability that gives them rest of 4 cost anyways. So I think this is going to be a battle of you swinging faster, you playing your 10 drops, 7 drops, just countering what they can. Like counter selectively, don't go to 2 life. If they are put you at 2 life, just expect the Hody Jones and work around that. And also for a lot of your searchers, I guess you could go, some more conservative routes like 2k instead of a 10 drop because it's going to be unlikely for you to get to the 10 drop turn. Ace is going to be grading at that. So if you share Hoshi, you want Ace because you not only get the life, you can also just swing at their Hody Jones or some of the units that they play. But Yamato, definitely scary. Just know that they're going to play a lot of Wano searchers or characters or abilities. So it's perfect if you play the pudding and they play their searchers and they use you can be my samurai. So you can swing with your small bodies. So that's going to be a good thing for you to deal with. Perona. Man, I played a Perona and this was for Top Cut. I had to win this match to get to Top Cut with this Katakuri deck, and I realized, man, I went second, and he got his Isho off, but he got rid of 2 10 drops from my hand, and that was brutal. That hurt so much, because my whole game plan was, I had them at 2 life, and I was going to 10 drop and 10 drop, but without that, I just couldn't see any of my big bodies, and it was just rough. It was GG. So yeah, Perona, definitely watch out for her resting ability. 7 costs are perfect targets for them. They're going to give you life as much as they can because they don't want to get rid of life. So maybe you just swing bigger, swing aggressively at them, and just go for the fact that you have more life than them and then just rely on your 10 drops. But generally, you feel favored against this matchup. The Perona that I played, they E-showed me and then they 8-dropped, 8-dropped, 8-dropped. They had 3 8-drops in a row, and that was going to be rough because I didn't see my big bodies. But all in all, Perona, you feel pretty good. You want to go second. You want to play your 10 drops. You want to play 8 drops even to get rid of their units and just summon, swing aggressive. And even if they have enough life, 10 drop and all the above. Bonney. Surprisingly, I didn't think Bonney was that big of a threat because they can rest their Dawn to rest your characters, but they're resting like a 10 cost 12k body. They're not going to swing at it. They can play their Hody Jones, but they're not as big of a aggressive threats as a lot of other people. They kind of rely upon the fact that they have the ability to rest one of your swings. But when you play enough bodies and the bodies give you enough value, a lot of my characters just give me pure value regardless. So that really worked for me because you might be able to rest my 7 drop, but you already gave me a life or you already banished a life. And Bonney is one of those matchups that I'm okay seeing. You just gotta play your big bodies. But Bonney, make sure that you can Gedatsu the Eroge blockers, you can Gedatsu the characters that give them extra things. But if I pop my Onami trigger on it, it's great. Because I can KO their Cavendish, which is huge, KO a lot of those things. If you can get rid of those and you play your big bodies, you're sitting pretty comfortably. Kind of like the former green decks. Just being able to play my 10 drop hurts them so much. Okay, RP Law, Luffy. I didn't really play any at that tournament, but I played RP Luffy's before, and a lot of their big bodies are good. I'd say just because my leader ability gives me that extra Dawn swing, And because I'm able to trigger units like Kikunojo's for 6k and my 7 costs, I think I just do a little bit too much for them. A really good Luffy player, will pull it through, but for me, my 10 drops are going to hurt. My 7 drops, my aces are going to hurt. My 8 drops are going to hurt. I have so many units that I summon from my life that if they swing at me, fine, I just swing back. Or I can play my Banish. Banish is huge against Luffy because, and if I can get rid of like his 10 drops from his life or his Whitebeards, it just hurts. So yeah, all in all, I feel pretty good against this matchup, especially because they're at 3 life and I can be super aggressive. And even if they swing at me, I just swing back with my bodies. Pretty comfortable though. But of course, a good Luffy player is going to be really good. And you got to get some more practice with that. RP Law is probably worse than Enel for me. Hardest matchup. But one of the nice things about it is there are a lot of RP Laws out there, but the numbers are dwindling because these other decks are destroying them. Now, there are Laws that win. There's a lot of Laws that top deck. But if you face a Law, rely on the fact that you can summon the units. I would even consider Gidatsuing. Like, I know Enel's don't swing at their life, starve them out, play Gidatsu on curve, KO their units, and then eventually 9 costs, or I can play my 8 costs, which is good. Starving them out is a good strategy. They're just super aggressive for me, especially because I don't have Enel's ability to just summon the life again. And I think I just kind of have to be a little bit more aggressive. Like, it might just come down to, like, I swing, he swings at me, I summon a unit from his swing, and then just, go crazy from there. My 10 drops, probably not going to be C play unless I starve them out. I will note that this leader is probably the main reason people don't play Katakuri also, but I think my Nami, huge against him. If I trigger it, amazing against them. I can actually rotate my life around to make sure that goes through. And yeah, I mean, he can bottom deck my Parasparrow, which hurts a lot, and my Kikunojos. My 6Ks are pretty much being bottom decked. My bigger bodies, less so. So that's nice. And I have to kind of rely on triggers for this. I have to hope Kibeja goes through, Nami goes through, Kikunojo goes through, Zero Cost goes through, Shirahoshi goes through. And that's where this matchup will lie. But Enel and RP Law, I feel like, are 2 decks that I just have to kind of clutch up. But there's not enough reason not to play this deck. Like, there's enough matchups that I think I'm very good in, just because of my 10 drops, and if I work around what I have and what the opponents have, that Katakuri might just be a sleeper deck. Or it might just be the right choice for a lot of people. Now, Whitebeard. We see less Whitebeards, but if you see them, you play your usual. They swing really aggressively. They swing really well. I think, man, it's been a while since I played against the Whitebeard as Katakuri. I remember just being destroyed by them in regionals. My 10 drops help. My 7 costs, my Kikunojo triggers help. They can try to get rid of my units, but like they'll just give me free life. And I think now, especially with some of these new additions like Kikunojos and Ace, I think I have enough to deal with Edward Newgates, especially because I have a lot of ways to get rid of their units, but also I have units that are kind of the Namis and Kikunojos help a lot. The ability for me to play my 10 drops, Ace to get a life, and then swing 10k is just so nice as well. So I feel less intimidated by Newgate, but also can still be a very dangerous deck to deal with. Law, of course, Amande comes clutch. You just put Amande active, get the ability to rest their units, swing at their units, constantly get rid of it, and eventually get to the point where they're like starved out. Like they're trying. It's hard for them to build a board of 5, and I'm just playing 7 costs, 10 drop. Like that's where you kill Red Green Law with Amande. But of course, if they get out on curve, they play units really fast. They get a lot of the units that they need to see. Very dangerous. But you want to Kadasha their units. You want to Onami trigger. You want to Amande rest and swing, and then play big bodies. Zoro, I know that we were favored against Zoro because I have so many units that trigger off of life. I still think I am, just because I have Kikunojos, Onamis, Gidatsus. But don't get me wrong, if they get the engine going, and I can't deal with their engine, and I'm having trouble not seeing the cards I need, I have too many bricks in hand, yeah, Zoro can get it as well. Triggers help though, and I still think I'm favored in this matchup. So yeah, so that's some of the leaders. I know I didn't cover Boa. Boa pretty much same thing as Dofi, I'd say. They're gonna red rock your bigger units, but I play the units with value already, so I already get the free value. They can do what they need, but I feel pretty comfortable selling units and swinging for life regardless. All right, another leader that we haven't covered yet is Moria. Now, Moria is seeing a lot of love, a lot more presence in the regional scene. And, I've talked about Moria before, about how good he is in this meta and the set, but I want to talk about how to face him as Katakuri. Just know that a lot of the Morios are running Ishos, the A-Class, which is something that I'm still very scared of, just because he can trash my 2 cards from my hands. If he gets lucky, my big drops. So you want to make sure that you're playing your cards out. Remember, Perona also makes you discard a card if you have 5 or more, so you want to make sure you're down to 4. Counter out of attacks, play your units, make sure that you count your cards correctly, because you don't want to give Moria free discard value. Yellow is one of those decks that feel the most hurt from getting discarding hands because we rely so much on our big bodies. So watch out for the Peronas, count your cards, watch out for the Ishos, and when they're playing the units, they're summoning a lot of units, right? So if they're going first, they get their initial turn. If I'm going second, just remember, as second, they're going to be at 3 Dawn next turn, so they'll be able to attach 1 Dawn and then use their leader ability. So make sure you don't have 5 cards on your second turn. Either play your units, or see if you can, definitely playing your units is the best option. But yeah, one of the things also to note is if you see Kikanojos, that is your breadwinner against Gecko Moria. You play your Kikanojos out. They can get rid of it, but it just gives me a life. So that's one of the things you want to do against Gecko Moria. Play your Kikanojos like you do against your black decks. Make sure you don't give them free value for their Peronas, and be sure to time your swings perfectly. Now, what you could do is go first against them, and then from there, play your units out. So that's why you're getting Pudding out of hand, Parasparrows out of hand, getting a card down, and then from there, being able to summon units. Now, keep in mind, they can always swing at your life, and then force you to kind of like discard from there, but that wouldn't be true their leader effect, that'd be true characters. So they'll probably summon characters and then swing at your life to give you life, and then make you discard cards. So yeah, 7 cost is really good against them. These 10 drops are amazing, but definitely be on the lookout for the Ishos. 8 is really good, just because it gets that character off the board, and then also playing your Crackers, your Onamis, Gadatsus, a lot of things out of hand. So I can see yourself going first against Moria and just making sure that they don't get free value from your units. Yeah, all in all, that is some of the meta leaders and how I would face this Katakuri. Katakuri, like always, very dangerous deck. The fact that I can summon all these units, I have on-play abilities, and I can also find these units. I can also get these amazing triggers, these amazing units. Katakuri, still an amazing deck. You just gotta really tech out or work around the Enels and the RP laws. But yeah, feel free to change what you like. This is probably what I might consider running for regionals in Pasadena. But at the same time, if everyone expects it, then yeah. Blue's going to be scary. A lot of people are picking up the fact that Dofi's super good as a leader. So watch out for the puddings and watch out for his curves. Go first against Dofi. And then for Enel, work your banishes really well. Either starve him out or, hope you get the swings before he does. See if he doesn't counter out. If you have enough big bodies on the board, that'll be amazing. Oh, another thing about blue is they play their boa handclocks, which is so rough, especially because I'm playing a lot of my big units. You're able to go past it, just watch out for that. If you don't get pudding to death, I'm okay dealing with the boas, just because you play units, swing with the units you can. Yeah. So yeah, Katakuri, I feel like still is a very strong leader. You don't want to see it in front of you. A lot of these decks are not teched out for it. But I think with the right approach, with the right matchups, for sure, Katakuri could definitely top. I'm trying to win with Katakuri, but I think just even his little leader ability to rotate life around, my ability to summon the units, and my free value for the end turns, as long as you know your matchups, you're going to do fine. All right? Well, hope you enjoyed this content. I hope you subscribe if you're interested in seeing more of these. I have some more leaders that I'll be making content for, so stay tuned. Thank you so much, and see you next time.